500th message that I said, hey, maybe this thing is worth putting on pants for. I had my reservations because a high school reunion seems odd in the age of social media, like Facebook with an open bar, but without a record of the awkward advances I make on my classmates.
You did a great job. Oh, thanks.
By the way, I might as well get this out of the way now. If you're married, we actually have roped off a special section for you. Their discussion topics will include kitchen restoration, breastfeeding, and justifying owning a Dodge Caravan. It's not that us single people don't like you, we just don't like your happiness. Frankly, seeing all of your success and stability on Facebook is offensive.
Where'd Jenny go?
Honestly, this thing would be way more efficient by having name tags that just listed someone's job, marriage status, and number of children. Oh my god, who's Simon Khan talking to? You know, salesman, no, maybe. Come to think of it, we could all just cut to the chase and line up in order of who makes the most, and then I know exactly how good or bad to feel about myself on the drive home.
Oh my god.
I gotta tell you, I'm really glad that I'm here at my 10-year reunion, but I'm not glad that it's been 10 years since high school. Because after this, it's the 20-year reunion, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think all of us are gonna make it to that one. And that's how time and sadness work. So 10 years on, and what sticks with me the most is how terrifying leaving the parking lot was when school got out.
Oh yeah.
It was like a running of the bulls. Except a stampeding bull shows a lot more mercy than a tired 17-year-old. At 2:10, that weird PL bell rang, and bam, your life was in your hands. If your class wasn't right outside of the parking lot you parked in, you were fucked. The yearbook should have had a one-page memorial to the Canton kid whose last class was in Plymouth. It was nerve-wracking just to see, but if you cared about your car even one iota, you suddenly found yourself in a game of Grand Theft Auto P-CEP edition. Because there was a ton of people who definitely didn't care about their cars, and we'll call those people Corey Simons. You guys remember those parking stickers? The ones that patinaed themselves to the surface of your windshield? Mine is still on my motherfucking truck. I'm glad I didn't screw up putting it on, because they probably would have had to amputate. The Canton lot had some semblance of order, but if you parked in Salem, it was like a Three Stooges routine from hell. Those parking lot gates just opened onto Joy Road. And they were descended on like the first door opened Black Friday at the Taylor, Michigan Walmart. But instead of rabid consumers, it was hormonal teenagers blind to their own mortality, wielding a white 1998 Chrysler Neon. That joke is for you, Amanda Strong. Leaving the parking lot gave me PTSD. For months after we left school, I'd wake in a cold sweat to memories of someone's dad's F-150 bearing down on me. That's what the parking lot learned you. You were small and fragile, caught in a sea of metal cages piloted by maniacs. People can't sip red wine until they're 21, but can rest their hands on the helm of an explosion-powered death machine.
Go forward!
That was Bush's America. And where was everybody going? Easy. Anywhere there wasn't adults. Yes, for a brief and glorious few hours after school, you were chaperoneless, prison warden-free, and beyond the eye of Sauron. It was just you and your pulsating teenage desire to do whatever fit your fancy. Who made that fucking decision? How is that even a little bit of a good idea? I can imagine the school board sitting down and saying, well, they're just freedom-drunk children in adult bodies with sexual organs. Let's give them a 3-hour head start. The decision to let teenagers go free at 2:10 is only one tier above tossing open the prison gates and just crossing your fingers. But it had to end early, because it started early. School started at 7:15 in the morning, which is insane. There's no way the human brain can even know anything that early. I never had a college class start that early. I'm pretty sure in the history of mankind, no one has said anything worth remembering before like 9:30 in the morning. This was made all the more ridiculous because for 4 years, every first hour I had was either science or algeostat.
Oh my god.
And that's bullshit because I'm not Katie Mills or Mustafa Ghulam. Brendon Lemon can't handle it. Why couldn't I get some softballs? Start my day with drawing class, tech today, science fiction. These were the bread and butter of the Slackers schedule. Put those first. Put AGS 4th hour so I can take e-lunch. By the way, does anybody else just have the memory of waking up in their 3rd hour class? No idea where you've been, no idea what happened that morning, just a sudden snap of Satori in physics class. That's why I'm only 5'10", early mornings and tons of coffee.
Oh my gosh.
Ultimately, it's an unsolvable problem. It's like a Zen koan, an answerless question meant to stretch your mind. What's the right time to start a teenager's day? What's the sound of one hand clapping? If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around, is Jeff, the awesome security guard, still sleeping with high school students? That's how you give a man props and accuse him of philandering minors in the same sentence. You know, I keep joking about troublemaking, but I never really did any, and I regret that. Because you only have so many years to escape being charged as an adult. Unless you're black.
Oh,
I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying it happens. How bullshit is it, by the way, that all these high school kids today get laptops and iPads while I got scoliosis? I slogged 6 textbooks around all day in my JanSport. By the way, this is our generation's walked uphill both ways story. Our grandkids are never going to believe it. When I was your age, words were transcribed in ink on reams of tree pulp, and sliding your finger across the page did nothing. Grandpa had to haul tomes of these from class to class, outside in the cold. And all videos came on cartridges of magnet. And they were wheeled on a gurney from room to room. That never happened, Grandpa. The worst ever was AP US History. 2 textbooks. 2 motherfucking textbooks. A regular textbook, and then Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States, which was a tome that was impossible to pack. The geometry of this book defied Euclidean understanding. It was 5 inches wide and 16 inches thick. Teichmann and Hilfinger must have been in bed with the chiropractic industry. Of course, we did have those totally convenient and painfully useful lockers.
Oh, yes.
Jesus Christ, what was the point of that? I'd be blown away if I learned that I even used my locker 4 times a year. I'd have to be a goddamn Olympic sprinter to have any use for it. Thank you so much, school administration, for a 5-inch wide, 4-foot high space, half a mile away in another school. I never went to it, but when I finally cleaned out my locker senior year, I was amazed at what I found. Nothing. I didn't keep a goddamn thing in there. Something I really miss is the Canton pit. There was just something kind of cool about it, a little indentation right on the path from the cafeteria to Phase 3, just next to the den. There was a little bunker shielding you and your Otis Spunkmeyer cookies from the objectified eyes of the hot person you and your friends were talking about. J.Q. Williams. By the way, those cookies from the den were amazing, but so bad for you. It was a little gooey mash of chocolate, sugar, eggs, and butter cooked in a nuclear reactor. They sold them 3 at a time, just so you could think back and be jealous of your 17-year-old metabolism. When I look back, I can't believe that our school had 3 lunches. 1 before 4th hour, 1 after 4th hour, and 1 squished in the middle of 4th hour. I never had this lunch, but I'd be blown away if anyone learned a damn thing in B-lunch class. And it was probably worse if you had biology. Alright, everybody, that's the B-lunch bell. Please put down your scalpels, wrap up your pig fetuses. Today, the cafeteria will be serving pig fetuses. I wanted to write a bit about some of the girls I had crushes on in high school, and I was having a hard time narrowing down which ones. And I realized I'm pretty sure I had a crush on every girl in high school. And I ended up doing something with none of them, so you could say I have an unbroken record. But that's not my biggest regret. My biggest regret is I got voted most unique in our class, and Adam Warner got funniest. And where is that motherfucker's stand-up routine? Most unique. Most unique sounds like what someone who rode on the short bus wins. It's right up there with most participation. But P-CEP, despite its glaring imperfections, did help prepare me for the real world. Dealing with college was a lot easier because I went to P-CEP. I remember the first week I was in a dining commons and a girl asked, "Do you have to get veggies with every meal?" And someone said, "No, you can do whatever you want." And you could see the spark of realization in her eyes. She could really do whatever she wanted. 3 weeks later, that girl was pregnant and addicted to Quaaludes. But not me, because I went to P-CEP, and I could always do what I wanted. I actually do miss high school, which is something I never ever thought I would. You can tell by the level of conversation in this room that you are done. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up our next comic, who is very funny and also musical. Please give a warm welcome to your classmate who is the first line in the movie Draft Day, Dave Donaldson.